For decades, Disney has been the king of timeless classics, bringing us beloved tales like Snow White, Cinderella, and The Little Mermaid. These films weren't just movies, they were cultural cornerstones, etched into the hearts of generations. But now, with Disney's wave of live-action remakes and updated storylines, many fans are asking, has Disney lost its magic? Take Snow White, for instance. The original 1937 classic is not just Disney's first ever animated feature, but also a symbol of traditional storytelling. Simple, heartfelt, and universally cherished. Fast forward to 2023, and the live-action reboot has been steeped in controversy. Critics argue that the new version feels less like a faithful adaptation, and more like an attempt to cater to modern-day social and political trends. From changes in character motivations to the omission of iconic elements like the Seven Dwarfs, fans are questioning whether this is the Snow White they fell in love with, or a completely different story wearing the same name. Now let's talk about modernization. Disney claims these changes reflect the values of a more inclusive and progressive society. And while that's an admirable goal, many fans feel it comes at a cost. Instead of focusing on the magic and timelessness that made these stories unforgettable, critics say Disney is prioritizing political correctness over narrative depth. Does every tale need to be reimagined to fit contemporary standards? Or is there value in preserving the essence of the original works? The backlash isn't just limited to Snow White. Other recent remakes like The Little Mermaid and Peter Pan and Wendy have also faced similar accusations. Some argue these films are pandering to current social movements, while others applaud Disney for taking risks and embracing change. Regardless of where you stand, there's no denying that these remakes have become a lightning rod for debate. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Industry experts say Disney's strategy might be alienating its core audience. Loyal fans who grew up with the classics often feel disconnected from these reimagined versions. At the same time, the younger generation, who may not have the same emotional attachment to the originals, seems less interested in these adaptations altogether. Could this be a sign that Disney is losing touch with its audience? But let's not forget the other side of the coin. There are plenty of viewers who love the fresh takes and appreciate Disney's efforts to evolve with the times. After all, storytelling is a living art form, constantly shaped by the era it inhabits. Perhaps these remakes are less about replacing the originals and more about offering a new perspective for a new audience. What do you think? Are these modernized adaptations a bold step forward or a misguided departure from tradition? Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs isn't just another animated film. It's a cornerstone of cinematic history. Released in 1937, this masterpiece was Disney's first ever feature-length animated movie. It introduced audiences to a new realm of storytelling, one that combined stunning visuals, memorable music, and a heartwarming yet simple narrative. Someday My Prince Will Come became an anthem of hope and romance, and Snow White herself became an icon of innocence and resilience. For many fans, this film isn't just entertainment. It's a cherished piece of childhood nostalgia. Fast forward to today, and Disney is reimagining this beloved classic for a new generation. But instead of excitement, the remake is stirring up a cauldron of controversy. So what's changed, and why are fans so divided? Let's break it down. One of the most significant departures from the original is the sidelining of the prince. That's right, the traditional romance that defined Snow White's journey has been reimagined. In the new version, the prince is no longer the focal point of Snow White's happily ever after. Instead, the emphasis shifts to Snow White's personal growth and independence. While this modern take aims to resonate with contemporary audiences, it has left many fans of the original questioning if too much is being sacrificed in the name of progress. Another notable change: the dwarfs. In the 1937 classic, these lovable characters added heart, humor, and unforgettable musical moments to the story. But in the remake, they've been replaced with magical creatures. According to Disney, this decision was made to avoid perpetuating stereotypes. However, this move has sparked outrage among fans who feel the dwarfs are integral to Snow White's charm and legacy. Many argue that these characters could have been modernized without being completely removed, maintaining the spirit of the original while adapting to modern sensibilities. And let's not forget the fan outrage itself, an integral part of the story. Social media has been ablaze with opinions from all sides. On one hand, you have traditionalists who view these changes as a betrayal of the original's timeless appeal. On the other hand, supporters argue that updating the narrative is essential to keeping it relevant for today's audiences. This clash of perspectives raises a bigger question. How much can you change a classic before it loses its essence? For Disney, the stakes couldn't be higher. Live-action remakes like The Little Mermaid and Aladdin have already shown that reimagining classics can be both a financial and creative gamble. With Snow White, the pressure is amplified by the film's historical significance. Fans aren't just comparing it to other remakes, they're holding it up against the weight of its legacy. But here's the thing, controversy sells. The debates, discussions, and even the backlash are keeping Snow White at the center of pop culture conversations. Love it or hate it, everyone is talking about it, and that's a win for Disney's marketing team. The question is whether the final product will live up to the hype or leave fans wishing for a different kind of magic. Now, Snow White is an iconic character, one of Disney's original princesses, with pale skin described as the fairest of them all. So when Disney announced Zegler, who has Colombian and Polish roots, as the lead, the internet, well, let's just say it had opinions. Some fans praised the choice, calling it a bold and inclusive step forward. Others, however, weren't so thrilled. Critics argued that race-swapped casting can feel like a departure from the original story and character traits. But this wasn't just about casting. Things really escalated when Rachel made some controversial statements about the original Snow White story. In interviews, Zegler described the 1937 animated classic as outdated and anti-feminist, suggesting that the remake would take a more modern approach. These comments didn't sit well with a lot of fans. Many felt that she was dismissive of a beloved piece of cinematic history. One fan wrote, "It's fine to update stories, but don't disrespect the legacy of the original." Another added, "If you don't like Snow White, why take the role?" Now let's be fair. On one hand, updating stories for modern audiences is nothing new. Disney's live-action remakes have often made changes to reflect contemporary values. Look at The Little Mermaid, where Halle Bailey's casting as Ariel faced similar backlash, but was also celebrated for its inclusivity. On the other hand, Snow White's fairest of them all description is a core part of her identity in the original fairy tale. So, is this casting a fresh take or a departure that's too far removed from tradition? In the latest episode of South Park, creators Trey and Matt Stone have done what they do best, hold up a mirror to society, and take a not-so-subtle jab at a cultural phenomenon. The episode, which has sparked a wildfire of discussions online, specifically targeted Disney's approach to diversity and modernization in its recent film remakes. South Park's parody focused on what many perceive as tokenism, a surface-level attempt to appear progressive without truly embracing meaningful representation. South Park has a history of fearlessly tackling controversial topics, and this isn't the first time the show has taken aim at a major corporation. But what makes this instance so unique is the potential ripple effect it could have. Disney is one of the most powerful entertainment companies in the world, and the idea that an animated sitcom could influence its internal discussions is both fascinating and ironic. By holding up a satirical mirror to Disney's approach to diversity, South Park has opened the door for a larger cultural conversation about authenticity in storytelling. Fans of the show were quick to point out the brilliance of the satire. By using their classic blend of absurd humor and sharp critique, Parker and Stone managed to resonate with audiences who feel fatigued by Hollywood's seemingly formulaic attempts at inclusivity. The episode didn't just poke fun. It amplified a criticism that's been bubbling under the surface for years. Is Disney more focused on optics than authenticity? What's particularly interesting here is the timing. Disney has already been under scrutiny for its remakes, with audiences and critics questioning the balance between nostalgia and innovation. The satirical episode has amplified this criticism, calling into question whether Disney's efforts to modernize its classics are genuine or performative. This has led to speculation about how the company might respond. Will they address the parody head-on, or will they quietly adjust their strategies behind closed doors? Either way, it's clear that South Park's episode has struck a nerve. But here's where things get even more interesting. Rumors have started swirling that Disney executives are paying close attention to the backlash stirred up by South Park's parody. Insiders suggest that the episode has struck a nerve within the company, with some higher-ups reportedly worried about the negative press. Could this be the moment that prompts Disney to reevaluate its approach to diversity in storytelling? While there's no official word yet, the timing of these discussions, coupled with South Park's razor-sharp commentary, is almost too perfect to ignore. For those unfamiliar with the recent wave of criticism Disney has faced, here's a quick refresher. Over the past decade, the company has leaned heavily into remaking its animated classics, such as The Lion King, Aladdin, and The Little Mermaid. While these films have found commercial success, some audiences and critics argue that Disney's attempts to modernize the stories often come across as forced or superficial. South Park's episode tapped into this very sentiment, offering a comedic but scathing critique that audiences couldn't help but share and discuss. Now let's take a step back and think about the bigger picture. South Park has a history of fearlessly tackling controversial topics, and this isn't the first time the show has taken aim at a major corporation. But what makes this instance so unique is the potential ripple effect it could have. Disney is one of the most powerful entertainment companies in the world, and the idea that an animated sitcom could influence its internal discussions is both fascinating and ironic. The episode has also sparked a broader debate among fans and critics alike. What is the right way for major media companies to approach diversity and representation? While it's clear that audiences value inclusivity, they also crave authenticity. South Park's critique seems to suggest that tokenism and box checking won't cut it anymore. Instead, viewers want storytelling that feels genuine, nuanced, and reflective of real-world experiences. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: South Park has once again proven its relevance in the entertainment world. By fearlessly taking on a media behemoth like Disney, the show has not only entertained its audience, but also sparked meaningful conversations about the state of modern storytelling. Whether Disney will respond directly or simply let the criticism pass remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure: the pressure is on. So what do you think? Has South Park hit the nail on the head with its critique of Disney's approach to diversity and modernization? Do you believe this could lead to real change within the company? Or is this just another fleeting moment of controversy?